Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Dispatch. We have someone who's fairly special to me, who's been there for me throughout my shooting. Jeff Werniak, welcome into the studio. You are we talked about your career in law enforcement. He is 37 plus years in law enforcement, the deputy chief right now of Posen. He was at Blue Island, also part-time copper. We'll dive into all those little stories. But Jeff is very special to me. He is someone I met at the gym, and he keeps calling me and keeps texting me. I couldn't get rid of him. I was helping him out with a case he was working when he was in the DEA. But before we get to Jeff, if you guys like the podcast, you guys like what you're hearing, please subscribe. We can't do it without you guys. It really helps us out. We have some really cool stuff coming up here in the future. We're about to launch our store. It's going to be pretty awesome. Let's go, baby. Still here.
What's going to be in the store?
Don't you worry about it. But without further ado,
I can't wait.
Jeff Warniak, how are you feeling, brother? How does it feel to be on Beyond the Dispatch?
It feels great. This is a first, and it's pretty exciting. I've never done anything like this, so it's totally cool.
I love it, brother.
Yeah.
So off camera, we were talking about how you got started in law enforcement. Let's talk about your part-time gig and the year that you started. Was it 1988?
Yeah, I was actually 20 when I applied because I knew it was a part-time police academy for Blue Island. So I figured this is the career I was going to choose, but we'll get into that. But so yeah, I had to go through a 6-month police academy, which was like 3 nights a week or something. But I would graduate July 1st, which is like a week after my 21st birthday. So I'm like, perfect. Be 21, be the police, and start this thing off right. So I was in Blue Island, which was a shithole at the time. And Blue Island was horrible, but I was born and raised there, so I knew the town, I knew everybody, and I'm like, what a better place to start.
So what made you want to become a cop?
You know what? I still trying to figure that out to this day. I started working for my dad, who owned he had a gas station auto repair shop. I started working for him when I was 13. Mm-hmm. So, but which was in Blue Island. So he had the Blue Island police as an account. We would fix all their cars, everything else. So it's that. So it just, during the course when I was growing up and becoming a teenager, I knew all the guys that worked for the police department. They would come and tell me stories. I would see what they do. I'd watch what they do. It was just cool shit. We worked on all the cars, like I said. So I'd sit in the sun, bitch. I'm like, yeah, maybe one day I'll drive one of these things. It's
Let's go.
Yeah, I just a young kid that didn't know what the hell I was doing in life, but I figure, all right, I'll. So we do everybody. So, my dad. He was buddies with the chief and all that. So I'm like, I got an in.
Yeah.
And that's worked out. I got hooked up with a guy who had the academy, and then I got in and started working there, and it was, I don't know. I loved it. I don't know why, but it was like, I don't know. I didn't have any direction in my life. I was just working for my dad 10, 12 hours a day, and I'm like,
what do I want to do?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, do I want to do this? And I'm like, I loved, work for my dad, but I'm like, all right. So I became the police, and so I was doing that part-time and still working for my dad. And I'm like, all right. So I finally took the full-time test. I took it twice. I didn't get on the first time, which I was pissed. So I didn't get on until I was like 24, I think. Full-time, yeah. And 93, I don't know how old I was.
93, I was 2.
What's that?
In 93, I was 2 years old.
Well, that's when I got on full-time. Yeah, so, I went to the academy or whatever, and it's just like, and I tell everybody the story. I'm like, when I got out, I was making $700 every 2 weeks. I think my take-home check was like $690. I was the happiest guy in the world because I'm like, I am being overpaid. I go, really? You're going to have me do this job full-time for this amount of money? It was just like, I I was beside myself. I'm like,
Could you imagine making that now?
no, no, I couldn't. I mean, see, you know what they make now, but it's just like, yeah, it's. I just thought I was overpaid because it was like, you know, I always had and I always tell this to my kids. I'm like, if you love your job, you never worked a day in your life.
Right.
And if you tell me I was in Blue Island for 30 whatever something years, I'd say, no, didn't even think I was there for 2 months.
Yeah.
You know, so I just,
Blink of an eye.
yeah, no, I love going to work. I love doing what I was doing. And, you know, I said, all right. So, you know, once I got to get my bearings straight, it's just like, all right, which direction am I go? What do I want to do? Do I want to be in a squad car my whole life? No. You know, I'm like, I'm going to go up the chain and, you know, see how far I can go. So
Yeah, absolutely.
my shit just took off.
So how was being a patrol cop in Blue Island?
Well, here's the scenario. So I graduated from PTI, whatever. What was the police academy? It was, you know, 10 weeks, I think I went.
Back then, yeah.
Yeah. And so I was going to patrol, and me and the chief were like tight. So he's like, hey, whatever shift you want, whatever, let me know when you get out. I'll take care of you, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. So I got home from Champaign on a Friday, and I went there and made sure, and here's a letter in my mailbox, report to midnights on Monday. I'm like, midnights?
What happened to pick up my
wait a
shift?
minute. I didn't want midnights. I wanted afternoons. You know, I'm like, I go, motherfucker. I was so mad. I'm like, I've never worked a midnight shift in my life. I mean, I was part-time. I worked till 3 o'clock in the morning, but I'm like, it's just like, midnights to me was horrible because it's like, nobody should work midnights. Your body
Yeah.
just never gets used to that. I don't care who you are. And so I called the chief. I'm like, hey, I thought I was getting afternoons. He's like, I'm one guy short. It's only be for 2 months. He goes, bear with me. He goes, and I'll get you on afternoons. All right.
I'm holding
So,
it.
no, and he was a man of his word. I worked 2 months. It was the longest 2 months of my life. And then he put me on afternoons. But I mean, it's just, and I was young, but it was something I couldn't adjust to. Like,
Yeah.
I would come home, I'd sleep 10 hours, and that wasn't enough.
Yeah.
I couldn't sleep during my shift because I was scared I was going to miss something or something was going to happen.
Right.
You know, we only had 8-hour shifts at the time.
Oh,
But,
dude, that's nothing now.
No, it's nothing. And it's like, but I'm like, but my whole thing, I'd be like, at 3 o'clock in the morning, I would try and DUI somebody. I mean, horrible as that sounds. I would look for a drunk on the street that was driving. I would DUI him because I know the paperwork for a DUI would take me all the way to 7 o'clock. I'd write the tickets, finish it up, go home, go to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then at that time, you know, like I said, we didn't have 12, so we were on a 6 or work 5 off 2, or no, we were on a 6 and 2 schedule. So you work 6 off 2, and then, you know, you get a long weekend every other month and a half or some bullshit schedule. But no, I worked on midnights for 2 months, and then I went to straight afternoons, and that was it. I mean, I never ever worked midnights again.
How was working in the town that you grew up in? I know from my experience from like being in Romeoville, I would never want to live within the town.
You know, it sucked. I mean, it's just, there was nice parts of Blue Island and there were shitty parts, you know, but yeah, that was the thing. At the time when I got on full time, everybody just started fighting for residency at the time, and we couldn't, so they're like, no, fuck you guys. You took this job knowing you had to live in town. You're staying in town. We're not doing it. So that was like our biggest fight. The union fought, and we finally got I had bought a house, and then we finally got our residency lifted. So I was one of the first guys to move out. Then I moved to Mokina, and that was it. But it was horrible because I had to take home squad car because I only worked patrol for 2 years of my career.
Okay.
And then I got promoted to detectives, which I was shooting for.
Yeah.
So, and then I had a take-home car, but, I mean, my garage was graffitied. My squad car was graffitied in front of my house. And I knew everybody in that town. It was a population of 25, 30,000 at the time or whatever. But, you know, it sucks that you live in the town, you have to work, because then everybody knows you.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
something happens, oh, hey, is Warniac there? You know, everybody wants a fucking favor,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
but it's like, and then you live in the damn town and just, you know, you get people coming, knocking on your door. And it was a true story. It was, both my kids were outside, and one of the little jerks that I arrested a bunch of times, I couldn't stand this kid, a little gangbanger. He saw my kids, and he approached them when they're outside the house.
That's a no-no.
Yeah, and then he says, "Oh, is Warniak your dad?" And they're like, "Yeah." He said, "Well, you tell him I say he's the biggest fucking asshole." And my kids were just
Babies, yeah.
So they come running to me and call, Dad. Well, I mean, the kid, we found him a couple blocks away, and you know things went the way they should be. But it's like, I'm like, this is it. I'm like, now you know you got kids approaching my kids. I'm like, no.
It's time to go.
Yeah. So I mean, that was for me. That was, I don't care how much I pay for a house. I'm getting out of this town.
I don't blame
You know, I mean, it's, you know, it's kind of like too close for comfort. And you know, I know all these towns, they lifted their residency, but it's what they should be. You
Yeah.
shouldn't have to
No.
live in the town you work.
No, because you go to the store with your wife, your kids. Like, that's the last thing you want is someone you arrested for domestic battery or, you know, whatever it was. And then they see you with all your wife, and then they approach you. It's not a good
No,
situation to be
it
in.
happens all the time. So it's
yeah.
like, you know, no, I'm going to be get them far away, removed as I can. So they're not going to these schools.
Yeah.
You know, I had my oldest was in, I sent him to a Catholic school. You know, at the time, I wasn't putting him in.
No.
So, but until we got out, then, you know, things were great after that.
The best is the name dropping, especially people who've been there a while or live in town. They're like, "Oh, do you know so-and-so? Do you know so-and-so?" I'm like, "Yes, I know so-and-so. They're not getting you out of this. You're going to jail no matter what. It doesn't matter who you know."
I'm telling you, I don't know how many times, I mean, a week during the whole 30, it would happen every week. Somebody would be calling this, you know. I had people, I mean, that's how people, everybody thinks they know everybody, you know. They just stop a guy and talking to him, whatever, yelling. He's like, "Is Warniac working?" You know he's talking to me. I'm like, "No, he's not here tonight. You idiots." I mean, you think you know somebody and you don't because you're talking to him. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's like,
It's Warniac work.
yeah.
He's not here.
Yeah, he's not here, you idiot. You've fucking been talking to him the last 10 fucking minutes and you don't even know it. I'm like, just forget it.
Oh man. So how was your time in Dick's, brother?
I mean, he spent my whole career there, you know, so it's like me and well, like I said, my current job is in Posen, the deputy chief, but the mayor of Posen was my partner in detectives. We were both on afternoons together, and it's the nice thing, we got to compete against each one another. 'Cause
Right.
We knew their detective spots were opening up, and back then, you had to fight for your spot. You had to prove
yeah.
yourself. You had to make arrests. You had to write tickets. Anything you could do. So we were on the same shift, and we were in full blown out competition every day. You know, shift started at 3:00. Me and him would be there at 2:15. We're filling out our parking tickets. The chief loved parking tickets.
Oh,
so
yeah.
me and him would write 10, 15 a day because all he wanted was revenue, you know?
Yep.
And then we'd go out, write our white tickets, try and get a misdemeanor arrest or a felony arrest, you know, every day. You know, that was it. So we would see who had the better numbers at the end of the month. So, you know, they recognized that, and then they said, "Okay, we're taking you two." There was two gang detectives that were in there because we had a big gang problem at the time in the 90s. I mean, we had every gang imaginable in that town, and
Yeah.
they were just shooting each other. I mean, it was horrible. They're like, "All right, you guys are going to be two new guys." I'm like, "This is fucking great."
Awesome.
I had no idea what I was doing, you know, because I was still a brand new patrol guy, but I'm like, "All right, I'm in." So we went out there and we killed it. I'm not going to say we didn't. I mean, we arrested 2, 3, 4 people a night, and that's what they wanted to see. They wanted numbers.
Investigations?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, well, so we're basically a gang TAC unit.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we have to do any follow-ups and stuff. And then,
nice.
so we were in the gang unit for, how many years did we did a couple of years, 2, 3 years, me and him as partners. And, yeah, we absolutely crushed it. You know, they hated us, and we did, and we got rid of the problem. You
Yeah.
know, and it was nice. So
It's always a good spot though. The TAC unit, it's always a great spot. It's what you want to make of it. It's one step above patrol, right? So you guys get together, you guys plan like, what do you guys want to do tonight? You want to do guns? You want to do gangs? You want to do drugs? And you just get after it.
We would look, that's, and we were, the biggest problem we had, believe it or not, in Blue Island was graffiti. They would spray that town every night. I mean, they hit buildings, garages. People go up. 19 garages got hit last night. I'm just rolling my eyes. I'm like, here we go again.
Your squad car.
yeah. I mean, and no bullshit. We were driving around one time. We were down in a little Latin King part, and there was a kid in the park spraying the basketball court. I mean, it's like one of the very few times you catch somebody in
the act.
I'm like, fucking right. And pull up on him. I get out, start running. The motherfucker has a dog. He released that motherfucker. I'm like, now I'm running back to my fucking car. I'm like, you motherfucker. So here comes this dog charge, and I dive into the car. He runs the other way. I'm like, and what did he spray? He was spraying my name on the basketball court.
Was he really?
Yeah. I'm like, okay. Yeah. It's like fuck Warniac, whatever. I mean, so we knew who he was. We caught him a few days later. He got charged actually with a felony for damaging park property,
Absolutely.
He never got his dog back. Thank God the thing didn't get to me, because that thing would have demolished me.
Was it a pit bull?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, these guys, all they do is walk around with pit bulls.
Uh-huh.
I didn't think he was going to release that son of a bitch on me.
Yeah.
Here I'm coming full steam, and next thing you know, I'm in full steam reverse, like running for my life. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, I don't fuck with pit bulls either, brother.
No. It's just, funny. I'm not a big dog guy. It's not a secret. I know she is, but.
You better watch out. Riggs will bite you.
Well, I'll tell you my one scary dog story, and this is, I had to go to the hospital. When I was a patrol officer, the dog bit this poor kid, just devoured his leg. He was young. He was only like 8, 9 years old. His dog was out. It was a shepherd. And this kid, so I'm at the ER looking at his leg. It's just demolished. They're going to take him to surgery.
Like ground beef. Yeah,
the dad's crying. I'm like, where's this dog at? So he tells me the area. So I went there with this canine handler at the time I was working with. I'm like, we got to find this dog, because it just devoured this kid, And we pull up and get out of the car. It's like this dog heard me. This dog was maybe I don't know, 500-600 feet. I go, there he is. And the dog just like, you say that, he looks at me. This motherfucker comes full steam charging at me. I'm like, you got to be. I couldn't even get my fucking gun out. I almost shit a fucking brick. Thank God for this canine guy that was next to me, and he was our range instructor at the time.
Okay.
So he's standing next to me. He didn't fucking hesitate. This thing got probably about 10 feet. Boom. Shot. I mean, dead square on. This thing's dropping. I'm like, I'm like, what just happened? And this thing, blood just swam. I'm like, holy shit.
Problem solved.
It was, but it's like, this is like the last thing I expected. I think maybe put a little thing in there, bring him to the kennel, dog, whatever. But yeah, this thing was full blown coming after us, and he just dropped it. I'm like, there's things that just you never forget. It's just like, this dog, I'm telling you, it's like he knew I said something, because he just looked right at me, and then the charge was on. But
so dogs love you.
I just, it is what it is, but
for sure. So your time in investigations, was there like a learning point for you from going from patrol to the investigation, like unit spot? Like I know that for me there was a huge kind of like learning curve for sure.
Everything, because you know what, I had no investigative experience, and when we were doing TAC stuff, we were starting to learn the investigative stuff. We were doing follow-ups. We were arresting people, getting arrest warrants. We did a lot of search warrants, narcotic search warrants, so stuff like the investigators were doing, but we were learning from them. A couple homicides they called us out. We went and assisted them with the homicides, which, was new to me. It's like, well, I never worked a murder, you know, but they called us out. We did all the follow-ups with them, apprehended the people, so it was like every day was something different, but, as we did that, we learned more investigative stuff, and then, eventually once I left TAC, then they put me right in investigations, which I did for, a while. That's all I did was investigations. And then we had a new chief that came on in 2000, which I was buddies with, another guy. He was a state's attorney. And, everybody back then, that's when the DEA spots were starting to come out. People were putting guys in DEA and, they were reaping the benefits out of it. So I told him, like, hey, can you give it a shot? He goes, if you can make it work, do it, So I knew a couple guys with DEA and made it work, and they gave us a spot. So he's like, I was the first one that got sent to there from Blue Island.
To the DEA?
Yeah. So
Before we get to the DEA, do you remember working your first big case as a detective, or do you remember working like your first homicide?
Yeah, actually the first homicide, we had the guy was in Park Building. It was actually literally like a block from my house. Guy got gunned down coming home. He owned a car dealership.
Oh, wow.
So so we got called out for that, and we assisted detectives with it. But yeah, it was like 2:00 in the morning. It's like, okay, but we just followed their lead and everything they did. But wound up, I think, arresting 2 or 3 guys out of it. It was kind of a setup thing. And
That's nuts.
I mean, that was my first one. So I mean, we worked a lot of shootings prior to that, but first homicide, that one will always stick in my mind because, it was the first one. It was kind of easy, but it was a process.
Yeah, absolutely. So the DEA. So how long were you a regular detective until you got into the DEA or the task force?
So I was full-time 93. So I think I worked patrol for 2 years. 95, 96 went the detective. So I was in, attack guy for 3-4 years. So I was in detectives probably 5 years before I went to DEA. So, and then I think my first stint down there was it was in 2000 I went. So I went for 2 years. Because back then they were given like, they would tell your PD, you get like a 2-year contract with us.
Mm-hmm.
You get to come for 2 years and, blah, blah, blah. So, and, once we got in there, I was the first one to go. Then it was, all right, well, we'll see who wants to go next. We got to play fair. It's like,
Right.
Send somebody else. Otherwise, I'm like, all right,
Never gonna leave.
Yeah, so I went back to detectives, and then they sent, a couple more people. The one took 2 years, and somebody, I was like, sent 2 guys next 2 times, and then like back in 2005, nobody wanted to go. I'm like, I'll take it again. So I went back in 2005 for like 3 years, and then I had to come out again, and then one guy went in and nobody wanted. I went back down in 2010. So then I had to wait a couple of years, and I think I got to go back in like 16. So, Jesus. And then I don't know what the hell happened. I was only there for like a year and a half, 2 years. There was city issues, but I'm not even going to get into that. So then I went back down like 18 and then 20. So, I mean, I spent a good portion there.
Yeah, because wait, we'll call you here.
I was going to say, just so how does that work? Because, like, I mean, me coming from the outside, like, I have no knowledge of the police force, right? I thought DEA just did all their own stuff. Now I'm hearing, like, people from departments get assigned there or, could go on these task force. So how does that work? Because, like, DEA has their own agents, right? So
Right.
You guys just work in conjunction in your own town or?
No, so DEA, and if you even ask the DEA people, they need locals because DEA has probably, let's say the average maybe like 10, 12 different groups. Some are enforcement groups. Some do strictly doctors and pills. Some are the hell do they call them? They have 3 strike force groups, which were strictly, when they were created, they were supposed to do like the Sinaloa and high cartel groups. But anyways, so with every group they have, they only put like 3 agents in there, and they fill the rest with local task force people. So they'll get 5, 6, 7 task force people. So, they have groups of probably, anywhere from 10 to 14 people in each group. And they need locals because they don't have enough manpower, the Chicago Field Division. It sounds like DEA has got a lot of people, but they don't. I mean, they only have, and like I said, there's only a couple agents signed to each group. So, they want as much as they can, but they have to fill with the task force people. So they really rely on local PDs to come and help them out. But as far as when you get in there, DEA has their own stuff that they do, federal cases, long-term cases, wiretaps. But, they want the local guys in there to assist them, and they want the local guys to make their own cases. So anything your PD has, they catch a guy with a half pound of cocaine or something, what? They want you to go work that guy, flip him, and, try and make a federal case out of it. So they need the locals, just to make that place function. And without them, because, DEA, they have no lockups, so they rely on local PDs. Hey, if we get a prisoner here, can we store them at your facility for 3 days? And, plus, a ton of cases come out of the PDs. So
Oh, absolutely.
it's like a joint operation, but it's like, you would think the DEA just has their own thing, their own agents, and they're a separate entity in the police department, but they need task force guys. So that's what makes it go.
It's mutually beneficial. You know, you have your local guys who have the intel of their town, right? So a lot of times they're like, hey, like we're working on this guy. He's in your town. Can you get us to work upon him in X, Y, Z? And then you reach out to the guys that that's connected to that person. And also too, it's like these are like, I know from my police department, we didn't have the money to be buying drugs and doing those types of cases. So what we would do is we work them, start them, and then flip them to the state.
Right.
And then because we had a guy in the state, and we would work in conjunction with the guys in the state, the TAC unit would. So if they did like a drug bust, or if they did a buy, or if they did anything like that, we would be involved in assisting in them. So it helps with manpower all around, and then also for the financial portion of it as well.
Yeah, and like financially, whatever, like your PD, no matter what kind of seizure they get, because you're task force out to them, you get a percentage of that seizure. So if they seize, $1 million, you might get put in for 10%. So your PD, when the money seized, you're going to get $100,000. So the way it works is the PD, they pay. Groups are different, like strike force guys, or there's some HIDA guys, different HIDA groups, they'll supply the car. But basically, you send a guy, you're paying for their salary like you would if they're at the PD, and you're getting them a car and paying for their gas. But in return, any seizure money you get, you're getting in your account. And it's like if you get in a good group and you got a good group of guys, I mean, you make millions of dollars a year in seizures. I mean, you're seizing cars, you're seizing airplanes if you can find them, you're seizing, houses. So, but mainly cash, and that's what that's what the PDs, unfortunately, that's what they look at it like nowadays. It's like, I don't give a shit about the dope. I don't give a shit about you arresting anybody. I give a shit about you taking their $100,000 from your bank account because it's beneficial to me. I mean, as stupid as that sounds sometimes, but that's the benefits they get out. So each PD, if you could, you should spare a guy because it's beneficial to you. And then if you have a drug problem in your town, that's the other thing. It's like, hey, I can have 12 guys in a helicopter here like that that are going to help me. You know what I mean? So they, any drug cases you want to work, they let you work. Whether it's small, big, you don't have to have 3 kilos, and you can do a crack dealer. And DEA is good for it because they want to stat it, say, oh, we arrested this guy, and it's numbers for them at the end of the year. We seized this, we got his car, and whatever. So whether it's small or large, they don't care. Like I said, it's just, it's added to their stats. You're helping them. They're helping you with all the manpower and the resources, and they have everything. You could have 100 guys there in town in an hour if you wanted to.
Yeah.
If you needed help. So, they like it too. Like if they're, trying to, they got a case where they don't want to know that, the feds are onto them or something, they just have a local patrol guy, hey, can your guy pull this guy over when he comes through town and blah, blah, blah. Whether it's, ID him or stop him, see if he's got anything, and just, if he's got something, you guys take care of it. And down the road, we might charge him federally. You know what I mean? So, one hand washes the other. So it works out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Interesting. Yeah, I never knew, like, I knew there'd be some sort of, like, cohesiveness. They're intertwined. I just didn't know it was to that extent.
Yeah. No,
Interesting.
it's yeah, they need us, so we need them, and it's a nice partnership because, and if anybody, anybody that's been a patrol guy, if they want to expand their career or horizon, I would do that my whole career if I could, because it's so fun, the things they do. And yeah, it's a whole different world, and working at a police department, and it's a good gig if you can get it.
Hell yeah.
It's honestly a blast. Go ahead,
Before we get deep into your time doing all that, let's take a quick break. We'll hit it up after.
Yep.
Sounds good. Jeff Allen,
Yes.
let's go into some of your stories with the DEA or with Blue Island before we kind of transition into you becoming a deputy chief.
All right. Well, here, this is more of a.
I'm going to have to move this for you, though. There you go.
It's more of I shouldn't say, kind of a stick-it story. When I was in DEA the first time, we arrested this guy. Won't say his name, but he's just cocky, gold teeth, gold glasses, cigarette at the side of his mouth, just like not a care in the world. We got him like 400 pounds of weed. I'll never forget, he lived in Maryville. We did a search warrant at his house, but this kind of like is very interesting to me because when we did a search warrant at his house, learn stuff every day. We had some IRS agents with us because we knew this guy had money, but we just didn't know where. And one of the IRS agents found a key in his bedroom. And it's like, okay, it was like a skeleton key. It was something I would have took and I'd probably throw in the garbage can,
Right.
And the IRS goes, oh, this is interesting. And look at these markings, and they're talking whatever. So the next day, we do the search warrant, whatever. We have we actually brought this guy to Blue Island in the lockup. And he was just being a jerk. But the IRS says, hey, we identified this key, safe deposit box key. And we called the manufacturer the key. They gave us the only bank that uses this key. So we found out that he has a bank account. I mean, all from a key and a code on the damn thing. They worked this whole thing up, and they said, we found his bank, and he's got 6 safe deposit boxes.
Whoa.
And he's in and out of them like every 2 days.
Let's get that warrant.
And guy's a weed guy. I'm like, that's all fucking money.
Oh, yeah.
So they get a warrant. They hit it. It's $2 million.
Get out.
And these things were smushed with cash. 6 of the biggest boxes you can get. And this guy was still in our lockup. He had no idea we found his money.
I bet he wasn't cool and calm after that conversation.
Oh, well, no. I mean, so me and this guy, my old partner, were interviewing him, and he's just, smoking. No, wouldn't tell us shit. And I'm like, you son of a bitch. I'm like so angry at this guy, like you want to get his guy, right? But
yeah,
he wasn't giving him up. So my partner was he was an old, not vindictive guy, but he's like, all right. He goes, watch this. So we already knew that they seized $2 million. He had no idea. So we're like, oh, you ain't gonna tell us anything? He's like, nah. We're like, okay. He's like, I just have one more question for you. He tells the guy. He's like, yeah, what's that? He just
smug.
Yeah, smug. He goes, can you tell me before we get the count how much money was in those 6 safe deposit box years that we seized? He goes, you know what? Never mind. We'll find out tomorrow. He goes, have a great day. He's like, and he was so fucking just dumbfounded. This guy. We're like, no, you're going back in the cell. He's like, no. And then we just put him in the cell. It was like, this guy probably his asshole puckered because he knew he just lost $2 million. But it was like the best thing, the reward, just say, okay, how about this? We just shocked him. And it was like, that to me was that was like one of the best days of my life. It's like, okay, see how this works out for you.
Oh, for sure.
So yeah, no, we got us $2 million, and it was a good payday. And
Do you ever talk?
no,
Because that's what you usually want to do.
Yeah.
You want to get him in the room, interview him, get
Yeah.
him to admit, then start giving up people that he's connected with.
right? We have nothing to do with it. So once
Really?
we told him we got all this money, ooh, I know if that was me, I'd have probably threw up on the spot.
I bet his tune changed real fast.
Oh yeah, no. So, but I mean, I don't know. You could just there's a billion and one cases you could talk about, but I mean, to me, that was actually the most rewarding.
No, absolutely.
Just to stick it to the guy. So, but I don't know. I mean, that was just in 2000, but I mean, we can just go on and on and on. I don't even know what to talk about next or so.
Absolutely.
I mean, I bet probably the other most rewarding thing when I went back in 2018, they had this weed case that was dead, which is a big organization downtown, these Arab guys, which I'm like, so when I got back in, I actually had an informant out by me who gave up this other Arab guy that was in Orland. So actually, I wound up hitting his house. I think I got like 60 pounds of weed or whatever, but he wound up flipping on these guys downtown. So then that case I opened it back up, and I worked it with this guy who had it, and it just like blossomed. And I mean, next thing you know, we identified probably 10 different high-rises these guys were using downtown, and then it really worked out because then the FBI had some information on them. They wound up having this big warehouse in Mokina. I'm like, perfect, close to home, So, long story short, when we hit him, we hit him at the end of the day. We did like, I don't know how many search warrants. We hit 2 places at Trump Tower, which was kind of neat.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. But the Trump Tower people were great. I mean, we actually, when I was working this case, we found out that they had 2 apartments in Trump Towers, and I'm like, oh, great. I mean, how do we do this without? And then one of the guys I was working with says, hey, you know that part-timer that works for us? He goes, he works security at Trump Tower. I'm like, get out of here. And I'm like, so I went to him. I'm like, you work at Trump Tower? He's like, yeah. I go, hey, we're doing this. They gave us all the keys to the place. We had fobs to get in the parking garage. I mean, they were carte blanche on everything, which made it so much easier.
So much easier.
Yeah. And at one point, they're like, we're like, well, we got nobody ever we don't even know what's in this apartment building. You want to do what they suggested? The guy goes, well, you know anybody? He goes, you want to get on the window washing unit and take a look in there? I'm like, fuck you. I'm not going up 100 stories looking somebody's window. And then one of the guys said, I'll do it. I'm like, no, we're not doing this. I mean, I cannot see somebody out there. I mean, these guys live there, they weren't even there. They were just storing shit there and everything else. But at the end of the day, we hit this warehouse in Mokina, and the guy had, I think, this guy's got so much money. He had, I think we seized over 40 cars.
Wow.
We're talking Lamborghinis, high-end Mercedes, Land Rovers. This guy, he had so much money that he didn't know what to do with it. We found that he had a van load of Air Jordan tennis shoes, all one size, had all the, just top of the line, the most expensive ones. He probably had $500,000 in tennis shoes in his van. I mean, it was just, we took everything, didn't even blink an eye, didn't fight anything. Here you go, It's all yours. Yeah, it's just, you talk about a big payday, all those cars. And,
oh, yeah.
And we just we got a bunch of cash, just sees a bunch of stuff, but all from weed.
Do you remember what was in the apartments?
The apartments were like it was funny because we would go in we'd get in the parking towers or the parking garages, and these guys would, they would only work 1 or 2 days a week. They'd sell their weed, but they'd have all the people come to the parking garage, which is kind of smart.
Right.
They'd go up 8 stories, so we'd park in there and just sit in the back seat, hunkered down with 10 windows, and these guys would come out, throw duffel bags in their cars, and they'd take off, and the apartments, they were just like little stash houses for them. They didn't have anything significant. you know, one I think didn't even have any furniture. It had like 5 money counters and then just a closet full of weed. You know, it's just stupid. But
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, these guys are still in business today, and they just ungodly, you know. This guy brags because he says he has $50 million saved, and he's not stopping until he gets $100 million. You know, but I mean, he's coming to Chicago once a month, and he's collecting almost $1 million.
Did you hear about the case in Frankfurt that just happened recently? Was
Yeah.
it connected or?
No, that was one of the DEA groups. They worked with Will County and that, so it just I think that was fentanyl. It was totally
Yeah, it was a bunch of like fentanyl, coke. Yeah, for the yous that don't know, there's a case or a house in Frankfurt, Illinois that they were dealing drugs out of.
Yeah, well, from what I understand, there wasn't nothing in that. I think the drugs were like in Oak Lawn, and they had some in storage units or whatever, storage lockers. But supposedly, with the money they were making on their drug sales, they bought that house. It was free and clear. It's $800,000. So I guess they're seizing the house.
Good
So
for them.
and I think those two are in jail. But I think they got a couple keys of fentanyl or something like that, and a bunch of money, a bunch of guns.
That's nuts.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. But
So you were in the DA from 18 to, well, numerous stints in the DA, but from 18 to 20, and that's right around the time I met you, was right around 20, because that's when I started investigations with my department. And I remember Tom texted me. He's like, "Hey, this guy works out at our gym. He's with the DEA. He's working a case in your town. Do you
Right.
mind reaching out to him?" And that's how you and I kind of started talking.
yeah, because we had a case in Romeoville
Yeah.
with a couple of Hispanic guys.
Yeah.
That I'm like, I remember see if you had any information on it and if you knew these guys or whatever. And I think you went by, got some plates for me, and I mean you kept making passes by the house and stuff like that. So.
Yeah.
But I think once you got put out a commission, and then we hit the house, and I think we got like 5 or 8 kilos of cocaine or something out of there, and a bunch of other stuff. But yeah,
That's a
It
good
was-
day, brother.
well, yeah. No, I don't think it was only like 30 grand, so it wasn't really a good day. I mean, we
Yeah.
didn't do 30 grand. That's not much money.
Not much.
Comes to a seizure, like that's it. People be like, Jesus, I hit the mother load. No, that's like, I'm pissed off.
Yeah.
You always look for the big one. But,
Oh yeah, because I actually stopped coming at the morning time with you guys, and I switched my shift with the department. That's why we kind of stopped talking,
Yeah.
or I stopped showing up at 5 a.m. every morning. It's because I had a later shift.
Right. Because then you start working on what were you doing?
I went to TAC. I left investigations as a detective and went as a TAC officer,
Right.
which
No.
I guess was not the right choice.
Well, yeah. I actually, it's like you always there's certain things I remember. Like I remember walking into the gym that morning. Tom goes, "Hey, did you hear what might have happened?" I'm like, "No." And he's like, "Down." I'm like, "No." He goes, "You see that guy was shot last time?" I'm like, "No, I don't watch the fucking news."
Yeah.
And he said, "Yeah." He goes, "One of the guys got shot." He goes, "I think it's him." And I'm like, "You gotta be fucking kidding me." He's like, "No." He goes, and I guess he said he went by your house. So he came by here. He said all your lights were on. I figured what time he came by your house.
Yeah.
And he couldn't get a hold of you or whatever. And I'm like, just like, holy fuck. It's just, you're devastated because I'm like, how does this fucking happen?
Yeah.
And these days it's too common. It's fucking stupid.
Yeah, and it's happening more and more often. I mean, after my shooting, Bolingbrook cop got shot, and then another cop got shot and killed, and it's just like it just doesn't stop, and it just keeps continuing.
I thank the Illinois government for no bail and just letting these savages do what they want to do. I mean, that's what it's come down to. It's disgusting.
Yeah, so defund the police is always a great idea.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That'll go so far, but
Yeah, absolutely. Well, onto a better story. Let's talk about when you transitioned from Blue Island to Posen. How did that transpire for you? And was it a big adjustment? I mean that's a pretty big jump, leaving a place that you worked for 100 years.
well, yeah, I mean, you're right. So here's the thing. So I knew it was getting to the 30-year point where it's like, okay, you can retire, you can stay, I mean, I could have stayed there and stayed at the DEA with them, I can stay as long as I want, because my old partner was the chief. So it's like, you know, but I'm like, you know, then I had the original partner who was now in the mayor. He's like, no, come on, just every day he's calling me. Come on over, quit, you know, retire. Come, you know, this would be, you can stay. And then he said, all right, you can stay in DEA. It's like, you know, come and take this spot. I'm like, all right, you know what? And that's what I did. I transitioned over, stayed in the DEA. You know, I'm like, oh, deputy chief of the DEA doesn't get any better than this. You know, it's like, you know, it worked and it was fine. And then, you know, screwed myself basically because, you know, we had the spot in there, and then the one guy, you know, there was two guys that wanted the spot, and the one guy was, you know, I'm like, or we had actually two spots, I'm sorry. I had one, and then the other spot, I'm sorry, was taken by a guy who decided he left and went to, what's the town next to Bolingbrook?
There's Crest, no, is it Woodridge?
Woodridge. Yeah, he went to Woodridge, this guy, so there was another DEA spot that opened, so we were offering it to this kid, which is the biggest mistake we've ever done. And then the one guy who really wanted it, who was the sergeant who's in there now, he's like, you know, he said, well, if I wanted the spot, but I'm going to leave. And I'm like, wait a minute. And I'm like, no, I don't want you to leave because I love this kid. He's a great worker. You know, he's just, his heart's into it. I'm like, no, you can have my spot. I'll come out, you know, I've done enough, whatever. And, you know, so I'll take one for the team, you know, but that was a fucking mistake. Not for the kid, because the kid's a great kid. He's doing well there. And
good.
I mean, they love him. He's a hard worker. But it's just like, but I fucked myself. It's like,
right. It's a completely different job being a deputy chief.
It is. It's just, I went from doing what I love to becoming a babysitter and just listening to everybody bitch, whine, complain about, I hate it. I'm just going to sit here right now and tell you I hate it. And if the mayor's listening, I'm tell you I hate it. So I hate that job. And I hate you for making me do this. So, and that's the chief's listening. Yeah, the same to you too. You know, but it's
Jeff.
Yeah. I mean, it's I can say about Blue Island, like, you know, we'll go shift back there because I always wanted to work.
Yeah.
I never took a supervisor test. I never wanted to be a supervisor. I know, and every, you know, the chiefs are always, oh, take the test. I'm like, no, I don't want to be a sergeant and babysit a shift and listen to people complain about your officers because they didn't do this right. I go, I'm not that guy. I'm like, I'm not going to sit here and listen to people bitch about the police. I go, I don't want it. I said, I want the guy to be on the line. I want to work, and that's all I want to do. I make my own cases. I don't want anybody to bother me, you know. So I don't give a shit if it's a $20,000 jump. I said, the money doesn't. I want to be happy.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I never became a supervisor. Never took a test because it's the last thing I wanted. And then I did this, and then here I am. I mean, it's like, it's brutal. So, I'm not going to say it's not brutal. It's brutal.
Well, sometimes I see people that don't want the position are probably the ones that are best for the position.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you didn't want it because of those reasons, but at the same time, you're a cop's cop, right? So that's the nice part is if you have somebody in a command position who is a cop's cop, they will always take care of their guys, and that's what you really need in a police department.
Right.
Is someone's always going to look out for their guys and take care.
Yeah,
of their guys.
I mean, I could see. These guys, because I won't yell at them. I don't yell about anything. They could do the stupidest shit, and you know, you pull them aside and like, you know what? Yeah, I know you did this, and this last night. I certainly ain't telling that guy next door. You know. Yes, Frank, I'm talking about you. So if you're listening, you know, yeah. But it's like. It's, you know, you take care of these guys. It's just like, you know, you want them to work for you. Mm-hmm. The last thing you want to do is piss them off, you know. So if you treat them nice, you take care of them, you give them what they want. And whatever these guys want, I try and, you know, like I said, the new guy we just put on SWAT, you know, it's like, hey, I need this helmet for $900. I'm like, order the motherfucker. It ain't my money, you know, but, you know, if it make you happy, I don't want you taking, you know, you're not going to take it out of the clothing. And he's like, well, and I need this for $1,200, this, you know, now $5,000 later. But I'm like, no, just get it. You know, we're going to buy it. And that's all there is to it, you know. Just keep them happy, you know. But, you know, a lot of these guys, these chiefs are just horrible. You hear these stories on how they're just so vindictive about shit, you know,
Yeah.
just little shit. It's like they'll knife you in the back, and I'm like, I'm not that guy, you know. You want people to work for you, you want to be happy, you want to be loyal. You treat them great. You do
Yeah.
whatever you can, and you bend over backwards. You know, you're going to knife them, you're going to have nothing but problems.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like, no way, no how, you know, so.
I never really understood that, right? Where I mean, I get so the chief, they have that relationship with the mayor, and they have to keep that relationship with the mayor. I'm not talking about your department. I'm talking about other departments in general, where they feel like they need to always please
Yeah.
the mayor,
It
and it jeopardizes the investigation integrity of like the police department, or just like the job in general of the police department. It's like, okay, listen, do your job. That's what we're here for.
right.
And so I never really understood why some of these guys just
It's just the politics of it, right?
oh,
Like,
it's horrible.
It is.
I mean, it's a shit deal and a shit system because at the end of the day, like, those guys are, they'll lose their job if they don't do, what the village wants or what, Fireside, the district wants. Like, they'll get rid of them. They'll replace them.
Yeah, and then you get someone over here who's been around since Noah Ark's been built,
Right.
and he just doesn't give a shit.
No. But it's just like when I was in Blue Island, we had the mayor was Don Poloquin. He was there probably 20 years of my career. The best mayor ever. I'm going to put that out right now. He was the best guy. He was actually my neighbor. He lived across the street from me when I was in Blue Island. But this guy picked his department heads and he let them run it. He didn't get involved. He didn't interfere. My 20 years, he came to the police station twice. Once it was a party for something, and then I forget what the other thing was. But this guy he never got involved in any of the business. He let the chiefs handle it. He never put his 2 cents in, or I want this, or I want that. I mean, the guy was just golden.
Yeah.
And that's how it should be.
100%.
But you get nowadays, it's like, and the chiefs are puppets. They're on strings. Oh, you're going to do this, this, and that. I want this guy disciplined. I want this. I'm like, you know what? We'll make that decision.
Right.
I don't.
That's what they pay you to do.
Yeah, and I'll fight with our mayor all the time. The chief won't. Yeah, I'm telling you right now, he's weak. But that's all there is to it. So, but you know what? He hasn't retired yet. So I could leave tonight and nobody would care.
I would care. I'm sure a lot of you guys would care, brother.
No, they would. But it's like, but no. I mean, I will, and I can't figure it out because it's like, and I tell people this all the time, when they get to that like second floor office, it's like oxygen gets sucked out of their brain and they forget where they came from and who they are.
Yep.
And I'll call out the mayor again right now because this guy was a policeman for 26 years there. We were partners. And, the most picked on place in the village is the police department.
Yeah.
He nitpicks it I'm like, this is what you did for your whole career. And matter of fact, he was the full-time policeman there to begin with.
Right.
It's like, this is where you started your career. Then you came to Blue Island. We were partners, blah, blah, blah. And you had a great career there. I mean, the guy's a worker, the mayor. He's probably the hardest working mayor I know. This guy is out there every day, picking up tree branches. The guy's just crazy. He doesn't go home. He's always driving around just looking for stuff to do.
Yeah, he cares.
He does. He really does. But it's like, that's probably the biggest thing I don't like is because he nitpicks what was his career, his whole life. It's like, no, you would think that this would be the place you would take care of the most, but it's actually the opposite. It's the place he hates the most. I don't know what happened to him. I really don't. And it's, the same thing with, chiefs. It's like, yeah, I forget all of the common sense of what I did my whole career. And, now I'm just, everything goes out the window and I bow down to these politicians and, I'm going to make this place the worse for people if that's what they want to do, if they don't listen to me. Like,
You look to like you've got like a different perspective on it, right? Like,
yes.
How many deputy chiefs or assistant chiefs do you know that are in those positions? They're doing it because they want to be chief somewhere too. So, like, I hate that whole like jockeying for position.
It is.
And
Oh yeah.
I got to make the guys do this so that way I look good down the road, things like that. It just destroys these career fields. It destroys morale.
It
you know,
does.
like
Yeah, for sure.
you want somebody that's got your back, like you said. You don't want
Right.
somebody stabbing you in the back, but
No. It does, and you'd be amazed on, you work with a guy 20 years, and it's just like, hey, if he's up for the job and you're up for the job, how many knives you're going to put in that guy's back? I'm like, this is your coworker and your friend for the last 20 years. You're going to stab him, for a bullshit job, for
Right.
a title.
Yeah.
I was never one for, there's a lot of guys getting this thing for the title. I want to be a sergeant, who gives a shit? I want to be a supervisor or chief or, I don't give a shit about the title at all. It's just, if you're putting me there, it's what I can do for the place, to take the, people, they call me DC, call me Jeff. I don't even want to hear that fucking name, because the title means nothing to me. It's not, I'm not about rank. I'm not about keeping it over people's head. I'm a human just like you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not above you. A lot of these guys think they're above, I'm a sergeant. You're going to listen to me, and this is what I say, and this is what I do. I'm like, you've been on 2 years. I've been on 20. Go fuck yourself, because you know what? I know a lot more than you. And, but, since you're the boss, it's just like, a lot of these places make it where you got to have a master's degree to take a supervisor's test or whatever, Some of the smartest people with degrees are the most stupidest people when it comes to police work, and have no common sense. You got to have common sense to do this job, and it's like you're going to be out there, and they can't make a decision to save their life.
Yeah.
And that's but getting back to the whole rank thing, yeah, you're right. I mean, like, hey, I got a chance at the chief job in 2 years, and I'm gonna take a shot at it, so I'm gonna do what I can, but. It's just like, yeah, you're knocking your friends and coworkers out of the way just so you can have that fucking glory spot.
Yeah.
I'm like, no. Because they say to me, well, you're going to take the chief spot when Billy retires? I'm like, no. He goes, I go. I don't want that fucking spot.
Yeah.
I go, I will quit in a fucking heartbeat. I said, I'm here to be a chief. I don't want to be a chief. I don't even want to be a deputy chief. But it's, and that's the truth. But, if I can do good for the department,
Right.
I'm going to do good. But I'm certainly going to... I ain't going to put it in nobody's back, that's for sure.
Oh, those guys forget where they came from. We've had plenty of officers become sergeants, then become commanders or whatever ranking system you guys have, and they really forget where they come from. A lot of these guys don't want to lead by example. They just sit in their office. I mean, there's supervisors that I've had where hot calls go down, they're nowhere to be found, and I've also had supervisors, commanders, DCs showing up like first, second on the call. It's because they didn't forget where they came from. Like they're still going to be there. They're still going to, hold the perimeter and, start directing officers where they need to go. And it's lost on some people. Yep. And then there's a fault in the structure of becoming a supervisor in the police department, I think. And that's my own personal opinion, where you give these guys 5 books to study. And it's like, okay, well, this is philosophy of law. This is what, different patrol tactics. What does that really do for you?
Right. Right.
Okay, like how about you base it off of their performance?
Right.
That's how you should be promoting your supervisors. But
100%.
So excuse me. I don't know how it works with like the PD, but I know like where I came from, just for like a lieutenant's test, that you have these points that you're awarded. The chiefs award them. And everybody calls it like the popularity contest.
Chief
Like,
points.
we do the same thing.
Okay, yeah. So like, it's so funny, like the things guys put in for and get like chief points for, like, I helped paint the day room. Like, all right, yeah, you get like bonus points for that. It's like, come on, where does the like capability end and like the merit I don't know. I can't stand it.
No, you're right. I mean, and I've always said this in Blue Island, and I told these guys in Blue Island, I'm like, you know what? Nobody. Like, we had corporals and sergeants. I think they did away with the corporals. But it's like nobody should be able to take a corporal's test unless they have a minimal 5 years on.
Yeah.
I'm like, these guys are getting off probation, taking tests, and because they just came out of college or whatever, they're scoring high scores, and they're becoming number one on and they're becoming supervisors. These guys have no reason to be a supervisor because they have no experience.
Right.
You're coming, hey, I got this problem. And they're like, they don't know what to do, because they got 3 years on, and they put them in a supervisory position. But, and my thing was, no, you got to have 5 years on it in order to take a supervisor's test. And no, we're not going to do that. I'm like, well, that's your problem. But coming to your point, it's like, yeah, this, Jeff's number 2. He's down, 2 points. I'm going to give him 6 chief points because I can get up to 8, and that's going to put him number 1. So, you can have a guy that's number 3. If the chief likes you, guess what? You're going to get all those chief's points, and you're going to jump everybody. Like
it, and so it's one of those things where like I think it's good intention, right? Like
Right.
if somebody puts more into the department and everything like that, yeah, like they should have a better stance over somebody that's just a slug that just took the test to take the test, right? But it also just it breeds that like bad mentality about that, bad culture about it, where it's like, oh, so all I have to do is just be on my knees 24/7, and I'm going to get preference points. Like, yeah, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things where like it could be a great thing. I think it just gets skewed because, well, people jockey for position.
Abuse it. Yeah.
That's what it is.
Right. No, I mean, it's sad. I mean, going back to, it's like nowadays it's night and day. When I started, I mean, my whole career, I'm not going to pat myself on the back, but I worked my ass off because I wanted to get, I wanted to do this, I want to do that. And as long as you work, you got it. But these kids nowadays, it's just like, they don't want to be here 8 hours, let alone 12 hours. And then, I want to make this amount of money. And yet, I don't want to do anything. It's just like these kids nowadays have no drive.
Zero.
And it's just, and they want to go up the ranks, but done absolutely nothing for their career. I'm like, you have to show me, what you've done your whole career, where you're at, where you want to go, what you want to do, it's like, but I mean, nowadays, it's like that whole thing is gone. That whole, system, where you actually work to get somewhere.
Well, life experience too, right? I mean, a good supervisor has been through a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They have families. They have kids. They know what it takes. They know what an officer's day-to-day looks like in not the traumas, but the struggles they have to deal with their own personal lives. And you're putting these kids in from college who, they went to a college for 4 years, partied, and then became a cop, and then now they're a sergeant.
Yeah.
So, like, what life experience do you really have? Do you really, if you have somebody who's on the street for 10 years, they're having a bad day because they're going through a divorce, that sergeant's not going to be able to approach that individual of their patrolman and be like, hey man, what's going on? Can I help you in any way? It's going to go right over their head. Right over their head.
Well, this guy that's chief's friends with the chief. They used to work together, but he works for Metro. I won't say what he does, but he's talking about all these people. They're getting all these people in and out of the academy, and they had 2 girls that when in the academy they asked if they would be able to work from home for 2 days a week. Police officers. I go, is this a joke? I mean, they go, no. They asked if they could they could work from home for 2 days a week. I go, police officers? They're like, yeah. I'm like, how does this happen?
That's amazing.
It's amazing. I'm like,
and to ask
somebody's
that question,
that dumb that would ask that question, that would come up with this.
I would never. If I just got hired on by my police department, I'd be like, hey chief, like, is it cool if I work Mondays and Tuesdays from home? Not a fucking chance.
Yeah, it's just like I was sucking at the chance to do everything I could for whatever they wanted, and it's just like you have the balls to ask something like that. It's like, what does this world come to? But
since we're on the topic of new officers, what advice do you have for anyone who's looking to go into law enforcement?
You know what? I tell my kids I wouldn't. Right now, I wouldn't tell anybody to be the police. I mean, as sad as it is, because my whole career has been the police. I mean, it's just the way things are, the way the police get treated, the way the public is to them. It's just like, this is the worst profession to be in right now, and it's horrible. Just with all the state laws and no bail and all that. You go out and you arrest somebody, and they're 5 minutes they're out the door. It's just like, and everybody films. Everybody's got something to say. Everybody's got a camera. It's like, I mean, new guys, and you can tell them, hey, the best thing you can do is come in, do your job. Of course, you got to be by the book, but it's like, be professional.
Yeah.
And it's like, you think about that. you can only be as professional, as somebody allow you to be, because you can be the most nice, soft-spoken person to somebody, and they're gonna motherfuck you, and you're a piece of shit, and you're this and that. You have no reason to pull me over. Some of these people only roll their windows down this much. Like you're a piece of shit. They'll hand you your driver's license out, and it's just like it's horrible. So you tell them to be professional, but it's like at the same time, it's like people. I don't know. It's just it's a whole different world right now. But I say if you're going to get into law enforcement, my whole thing, take the federal level.
Yeah.
I wouldn't tell you to be a state or local guy right now, because it's just there's too many disadvantages. Federally, you got a better chance of having a better career, and there's more opportunity there. But it's there's not much I can offer somebody coming on, because I feel sorry for them.
Yeah.
I mean, just the way things are. I mean, look at how long you been on?
Me?
Yeah.
I am medically retired at 8 years.
8 years. You're shot.
Yep.
Yeah. Because why? Because the guy shouldn't have been out.
Yep.
Right? So, I mean, it's just case in point. I mean, it's just not fair. You look at the things that happen, things aren't fair.
Yeah.
And it's, my most beloved job was to be a policeman, and now it's like I can't even tell somebody to pursue that avenue, because it's just not a fair job to take.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can't offer any good advice, because I it's just the way things are. Things got to change.
Yeah.
I mean,
It gets worse before it gets better.
No, we got a great president. I'll say that 100 times. On this. This state government and local government, Illinois, bunch of crap.
Oh, it's a joke.
These the way they run this state is horrible. The laws, all the bad people have the advantage. The police don't have the advantage anymore.
Right.
And that's all there is to it. Is horrible as that sounds.
And you see all these. Go ahead, Kerr.
Well, I was going to say, what I'm gaining out of this is you would tell them to go take the fire test.
Oh, this guy.
Yeah.
You know what? 100%. I would have taken that damn test if I was in this situation right now. I can tell you that right now. So you have 2 different jobs. You're making good money.
Yeah.
You certainly ain't missing out on any meals. I can tell you that.
Oh, no, we don't.
You got a nice breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever they're cooking.
They cuddle together and watch Netflix. It's great.
Oh, yeah.
Hot take, Beyond the Dispatch recommends you become a firefighter. And
Yeah. I went over our fire department. I didn't even know they had a second floor. These motherfuckers had sofa, big screen TV. I'm like, what is going on here? Just like being at home. I'm like, well, why didn't I take this job?
Yeah.
Here I am in a dinky, cold-ass office downstairs and getting yelled at by people. And I could be up here watching TV, waiting for the spaghetti to get done. So,
yeah.
But
I always see those guys take to the rig to Jewel all the time.
Yeah.
What are you guys doing? No, we're picking up lunch and dinner for the rest of the day.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Must
be hard.
Oh, I always see them at Burkotts and
Yeah,
Myers. They're always in 3. One's got the cart. One's
They got
got
their
the list.
they got their little radio tassel.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah. Like, okay, I get
their
it.
little
You're
mustaches.
working.
Yeah.
You're working. I get it. But, really? You're going to grocery shop for the next hour?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
Hey, man's got to eat.
Man's got to eat.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. But,
We're just jealous.
yeah, I'm very jealous.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, it's just if the past went like this, I went down the wrong road. I can tell you that.
Brother. So before we sign off, I kind of want to touch on a subject. You might not have an answer for it, or you might have an answer for it, but we'll see. Some of the troubling times in your law enforcement career, something traumatic happened. Like, how do you, as a person, how did you get over it or get past it? Or
Well,
can you think of a story or
I mean,
a time?
no. I mean, there's quite a few. Like when I got on part time, this will be my first the story. But one of the guys in the department was getting married, and they're like, "Hey, everybody's going to his wedding. Everybody apparently from the fucking police department went to this guy's wedding, except me and 2 other guys."
Someone had to work the street.
Yeah, they're like, "We need you to work." I'm like, "Not a problem. What could go wrong, right?" So. They could call the domestic where a guy's trying to chop up his family. I'm like, yeah, okay, you get there.
Yeah.
And we're fucking kidding. So the mom's out there screaming. He's inside. He's got a machete. I'm like, it's really happening tonight. So
With 2 guys.
yeah. So I was with this other guy who was phenomenal. This guy's a state policeman now. I won't say his name, but This guy was, me and him went in there, and there's this fucking house. It's pitch black. Kids are screaming. They're locked in their room. You know, this guy is standing there in the living room with a fucking machete. I'm like, all right, you know, where's this going to go? So, you know, we're screaming at him. He takes off. We can't see him anymore in the living room. He goes through the kitchen. Then he's down this hallway, and the kids are screaming on each side of the bedroom, and they're holding their doors locked because he's trying to get in at him, and he's all whacked out on something.
Yeah.
Like, you know, dropped his fucking, the guy had a meat cleaver.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, you know, and the mom said, oh, he's trying to chop everybody up in the house. Like, you know, where these people just go off the deep end like this. But he was a young fucking kid. And we're just, you know, so we got him pinned in the hallway, you know, he's down on the one knee. I got like a side beat on him or whatever. And it's just like, this guy telling him, drop the knife. He won't. So unbeknownst to me, the partner guy picks up, he had a can of corn that he just found in this hallway. So he throws it at him to fucking try and distract him. This was like slow motion. This is something that always sticks in my mind. It hits the guy in the forehead. Like, I see it going 1 mile an hour. This is how this thing was in like trance. It just slices his forehead. You just see his forehead. And next thing you know, the guy's like, oh, you want to throw it? So goes to throw the fucking hatchet. Boom. He gets off around, right in the heart, drops him, kills him. I'm like, what just happened here? You know,
quickly.
it's just like, but I mean, I guess the most, you know, so then the state police, Special Terry came out.
Yeah.
It was a great shoot. Don't get me wrong.
hands
And,
down.
you know, and the family, well, they were thankful. And then until the lawsuit came in 2 days later, we're suing you for $500,000. You didn't have to kill him because he was just, you know, the girl came on the news, said, well, he might have chopped up one of the officers, but they didn't have to kill him. I'm like, you really said that? You know, but
Yeah.
I guess the most traumatic thing with me is like, you know, the guy that was with me who shot, they put us in separate rooms, state police come in, and they read you your rights,
Yeah.
which was, I'm like, excuse me? I'm like, wait a minute. You're reading my rights? I'm like, did I do something wrong?
Just prevented that family from getting chopped up. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just like, you know, I was there all night. You got interviewed. I mean, but it's just like, you know, that was the first time I ever see somebody get shot, obviously. But
Yeah,
it was just
absolutely.
like, it was, you know, it was one of the more, it wasn't traumatic to me. You know, it's like, all right, this guy got what he deserved and, you
Right.
know, whatever. But, I mean, the poor guy that shot him, you know, he was crying his eyes out. He didn't want to take a life.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, and you sit there and console him as best you can, you know, but, I mean, stuff like that, you know, stuff that you don't think's going to ever happen to you happens. You know,
Right.
it's just like, and, you know, I'm only part-time at the time. I'm like, boy, I can't wait till I get full-time. You know, all this good stuff's going to happen, right? You know, but, you know, I guess the more, I mean, just like, like the two things that probably bother you the most are suicides and stuff involving kids, especially when you have kids. You know, like another quick story is like the lady was screaming. This is right when I was getting off, of course. She's screaming. We go there, and you know the stuff you can't explain is where you know mental illness comes in.
Yeah.
This kid was 20 years old. He was 1 day away from his 21st birthday. He was in his room gaming. The mom was sitting on the couch with his stepdad. They were watching a movie. No issues. Kid's never been arrested. No drugs. No nothing. You know, and he comes out. He asks his mom, "Can I have the last beer in the refrigerator?" It's like, you know, she goes, "Yeah. You know, you're gonna be 21 tomorrow. Whatever." He goes in there, chugs a beer, puts a 12-gauge shotgun in his mouth, on his bed, blows his brains out. And I'm thinking, we get there, she's screaming like, you know, I walk in the room. I mean, it's just like you'll never forget it because like a body's sitting there on the bed.
Yeah.
There's no head.
No head.
I mean, it's gone. The head is
Everywhere.
everywhere in the ceiling. Blood, guts, everything dripping, brain matter. I couldn't even go in the fucking room. I'm like, but it's like, wait a minute. I'm like, he asked for last beer. He went and he was just sitting there playing a game. He just put a 12. It's like, how does this happen?
Yeah.
No note, no signs, no nothing. Good kid, had a job. Like I said, never been arrested. It's like, you can't explain this stuff.
Yeah.
So you just like wrap your mind on like, how did this guy just flip a switch?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like the same thing. The 13-year-old girl hung herself in the closet. She went to, you know, they couldn't find her for almost a whole day. And somebody opened the closet door. And she thought enough to put a thing around her neck,
And lean forward.
tie it to thing, and lean forward and kill herself. It's just like, how does a 13-year-old girl think of this? And, you know, what led her to that? It's just like,
So much.
yeah.
There's so much. I mean,
Yeah.
like bullying, with social media, with all that stuff, and it's horrible.
Yeah. But, you know, and it's sad, but like her being abusive to me.
Oh, she's abusive to me as well.
Yeah,
If you guys don't know who he's pointing at, he's pointing to Kim, and she's extremely abusive.
I'll give you one more quick story. And it's
Is this involving Kim?
Yeah, no. This is one I'll never forget. There was a lady, they called. I was working TAC at the time, I think. She was on the bridge screaming for help. But she was on the Kedzie Bridge. So it was Robbins, you know. I'm like, and I'll go there. I'm right down the street, see what this lady wants. And she's bawling her eyes out, and she goes, he jumped. I'm like, who the fuck jumped? She goes, my boyfriend, he jumped. I go, he jumped in the canal? He's like, yeah. So again, obviously he went under. He's not, you know, I'm like, no. I go, you serious? She goes, yeah. She stopped in the middle of the bridge. I'm telling you, he jumped. I go, oh, what happened? She goes, well, of course that's probably where the abusive. She was probably being abusive to the guy.
Right.
But she goes, we were coming down the street arguing, and she goes, we were having a fight. We were going back home. He just tells me to stop the car. I mean, so was it that bad? So she stopped the car in the middle of the bridge. He got out. He just dove over into the canal. So I'm like, this can't be true. I wasn't buying her story. I'm like, this guy did not just dive into the drink and because you guys were having arguments.
Right.
Yeah. 2 days later, he came up down about 3 blocks down.
Was it the Cal?
Huh?
The Cal SAG?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, well, I guess this girl wasn't bullshitting. But it's like, you know, can't say she's drove me to jump out of a car at any time, but it's like, how did this guy flip a switch where he just dove into the drink?
It's just something he probably thought about. Usually if it's stuck in your brain like that, I mean, it's something that's probably been with him for years and years and years, and he probably just had enough. He's like, I'd rather just off myself than hear you complain for another 10 minutes.
Right. But it's just like, yeah, it's like, wow, you know, but I mean, you know, it's stuff like that. And like I said, they're just, you know, that just like makes you open your eyes and like,
yeah,
what happens here? You know what I mean? It's like, why do people do this? Why do people jump out in front of semis on I-80? You know, it's like, you don't know. And it's like, you know, I've never, you know, they made it mandatory for us to go talk to a psychiatrist, you know, at the end of the career. You know, you had to go once a year. And it's like, you know, but I mean, I never talked to one before.
Yeah.
And to me, talking to one of those therapists doesn't do anything for you.
Yeah.
I mean, so I don't know. Have you had to, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I still see one now.
Does it help you?
It helped me, yeah. But I don't know if my circumstances are a little different.
Well, they are. They're 100%.
So I'm, you know, God, Jeff. Yeah, we can. I mean, that's like a long story.
It is, but
for me, it helps me, because I was depressed. It did hit me hard, and just kind of being separated from your police department and separated from like your guys, and then you're left with your injuries, and no one does it intentionally, but you're literally left alone. And you know, people do reach out, but at the same time, you get stuck in your own head and you go to a dark place. And then like I hit rock bottom, and it was bad. It was bad for a while. And I've said this time and time again, but I think it's important for people to hear is I look back on who I was. I mean, after my shooting, and it was not the same person. I was not the same person. And if I would continue to go down that road, there's a really good chance that I wouldn't be here because of it.
Okay.
So it does help me, but also like talking to my friends, like talking to you, talking to Kim, talking to Carrie, you know, my other buddies about the things that I went through and saw. It's kind of like therapy in a sense,
right.
And it's the same thing in the police department, same thing in the fire department. You know, you're at roll call or you're at the firehouse and you're sitting and you're just shooting the shit, and you guys talk about the stories and what happened and this happened, or the guy shot himself with a 12 gauge shotgun. Like you talk about it in the sense it is kind of like therapy, and that's what therapy is about, right?
Right.
So it sounds like you never really needed any type of like therapy. So usually all that stuff that happened to you, you kind of just were able to handle it without any issues with it, like affecting your home life at all.
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like I could probably say it did because I didn't. every time I would leave work, I mean, I would talk about it there, but when I went home, I wouldn't talk about anything. You know, I would never say anything of what I do, what I did, what happened. Nobody knew unless they heard it on the news or somebody else said something. I don't, you know, what happened at work stayed at work, and I wasn't one to talk about it. And I still to this day won't. You know, just it's like, but you know, that make me a horrible person. No. I was probably but you know, the job made me a lot quieter. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of times where I don't say a word. I just sit and think and just whatever. You know, so I mean, is that a bad thing? I don't know.
No,
you know, but
and I think everyone's different, right?
They are.
And what's normal for you is normal for you. As long as you're not having those negative thoughts, as long as that's not affecting your day-to-day life, your relationships with your loved ones.
Right.
If it's not affecting your relationships with anyone, it's not giving you, you know, intrusive thoughts, then what's the harm here?
No, you're right. I mean, it's just right. I mean, I look at it as, okay, you've seen the worst of people your whole career.
Yeah.
You know, you've seen how horrible they are, you know, horrible things they do. You see what they do to kids. You see what they do to themselves or other people. It's just like, you know, some people are just animals. You know what I mean? Think that's in society, but you see the worst of the worst and you just, whatever. And whether you bottle it up or you talk about it as one thing, but I mean, I don't know. You know, it just, to me, no, I just deal with it. So I don't think I've never felt a need to talk to anybody about it.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, so, but I mean, like I said, the only thing that would ever bother me was anything with kids, you know. It's just like back to Blue Island, just a quick story. I had a guy that a week before Christmas, he brought his kids to the police station. He says, I can't do it. You know, he says, I don't want them anymore. I mean, these kids were only like 7 and 9 years old.
Yeah, babies.
A week before Christmas, he's like, oh, what do you plan on doing? He says, I want DCFS to come and get them. I don't want them anymore. I go, you're going to turn these kids into, you know, and they're just two little innocent kids sitting there that have no clue what's going on. I'm like, you know, I wanted to kill the guy myself. Yeah. I'm like, you're really going to fucking give these kids, give them away?
Yeah.
I'm like, who does that? You know, and I mean, that stuck with me. It's like, it bothered you. It's like, these kids have no idea what's about to happen.
They don't deserve it.
No, they don't deserve it. And, you know, it's just like, and they have no idea what's, you know, coming their way.
Yeah.
And this guy's just, you know, like it didn't even bother him.
Yeah.
And it's just like.
But I guess it's all about perspective, right? Like, I see it as he's not fit to raise those children, but at the same time, it's like, who is then, right? They're going to be put into foster care and placed with families, hopefully good families that are going to love and give them the love and attention that they need.
Right.
It sounds like he was never going to do that.
No,
you know, and what kind of life would they had if he did hold on to him? You know, would he have been abusive to him? You know, would he have killed himself and then the kids found him? So it's like, what's the worst of two evils here?
Right.
So it's definitely heartbreaking.
No,
but it does make your skin crawl, and I've had plenty of cases like that where you're sitting in the ER with them because these kids have been, you know, abandoned for so long, and their parents come back every now and then, and you make sure they're medically okay, and you see babies, you know, like 5 kids in, you know, one hospital room all getting checked out together, and you're like, why are people this way?
Yeah,
and it's definitely detrimental.
No, I don't think it's out there, but believe me, it's an everyday event. So, no, I get it. But otherwise, no, it's just, that's it in a nutshell.
Well, brother, we appreciate you coming on. It's been a great episode.
No, I appreciate being here. So I hope everybody in Posen listens up to what I had to say, and that's where I'm at.
We'll make sure to send this to the mayor or the chief. We'll send them links.
I appreciate that. So thank you so much.
Oh, God. Well, we appreciate you guys tuning in to another episode of Beyond the Dispatch. We can't do it without you guys. We really do appreciate you. Please like, subscribe, share, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.
So long.
So long.
It's so cold down here.